Who could have ever imagined that one guy wanting to jump down through a rabbit hole more than anything else in his life, or wanting to get beamed up by aliens, would go on to become everybody's favorite story? One of the most cherished stories of at least the last decade. I say this because within the last decade, I've had the honor of meeting and entertaining countless hearts, and that means more to me than words could ever say. I've been often lost in emotion when it comes to Descendants of Zombies and all of you, because so many of you have chosen this YouTube channel from out of nowhere as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel that has ever been created. And I've had the time of my life creating it for you. I've loved putting my heart into every video that I've ever created for somebody who believes in Descendants of Zombies and who just wants to give it a chance. Because when you give Descendants of Zombies a chance, you give somebody else out there who believes in it just as much, even so much of a chance to hold on to whatever she believes in. And that became the greatest honor of my life, and certainly the most fun that I've ever had. Some of the most unforgettable fun that I've ever had the chance to experience. Because when Malia Baker said during the Worlds Collide Tour concert special that the love and support that she has seen from within this niche is truly undescribable, I always believe that truer words were never spoken. Because you guys believed in Descendants of Zombies really with all you were and with all of your heart. So that never deserved to be taken away from you. And what I mean by that is, you guys deserve to believe in whoever you want, whatever you want, for however long you want, without a critic kind of trying to take away your hopes and dreams of anything ever coming of Descendants 5 and Zombies 5. Because a year and a half ago, we felt forever away from Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 ever happening. They were just a mere thought, a hope that we all had, that we held on to for pretty much forever, what felt like our entire lives, our very existence. And if you can remember, over a year ago, I showed up here on YouTube and I promised you guys that Descendants 5 was going to happen and Zombies 5 was going to come to be. I didn't know when or how it would ever happen. I just kind of took a shot at Descendants of Zombies and believed in them with all of my heart. And here we are a year and a half later. And this YouTube channel has become everybody's favorite. Thank you so much. Without you, I don't even know where I'd be tonight. I don't know if I'd have this many subscribers. I don't know if so many people would have watched these videos. But without you, you are what makes this YouTube channel so special. And oftentimes you are what makes everything make sense for me. Because there were a lot of times that I couldn't ever seem to make sense of my own life. But you guys gave me so much creative energy and so much incentive to keep on creating videos about people you love, like Kylie and Freya, who I've had the honor of my life talking about, because it's really an honor to sit here in this chair every night and to sit in front of this microphone and share my story with the world. A story that I never imagined would go on to be so widely received and heard by millions of people. Over 4,000 people, just about, not quite 4,000, but just about 4,000 people have subscribed here and always taken something special away from every video that I've ever recorded. The numbers and the analytics of this YouTube channel are truly impressive and often mind-blowing to me, because I never imagined that I would have fallen into a niche, having fallen down through the proverbial rabbit hole, and I've gone on to meet so many wonderful people. Along the way, we've shared stories with each other, we've become that much closer together, and we really have become the best of friends because we've shared our opinions, our predictions, and our thoughts, which simply began as thoughts for the future of Descendants of Zombies. And what's so amazing about this niche are the people from within this niche not only showed so much unconditional love and support for the people who created videos, especially myself, but you held on to your beliefs and your hopes and your dreams for Descendants of Zombies for this long. So because you've held on to your hopes and your dreams for Descendants of Zombies for this long, I truly believe that they deserve to be encouraged. So if somebody had a hope and a dream that Red and Chloe would go on a magic carpet ride, or pay a visit under the sea to meet Ariel, or to visit Olympus just to, fight alongside Hercules. If you ever had a dream or a hope of anything like that ever happening for Descendants of Zombies, if you've ever imagined that, the one thing I've always wanted you to take away from every video that I've ever had the honor to create is that anything is possible and your dreams have no endless possibilities. Because in all honesty, guys, your dreams are what's always mattered to me, and I've always wanted you to make a believer out of every dream that you've ever had, no matter how out of reach those dreams seem to be. Because when Descendants all began, Mal had a dream of achieving acceptance in a world that was very difficult for her to see acceptance from within. But she would eventually go on to find that acceptance through the love she had for Ben. And there was always something about that couple that let us know that there was going to be a sunset on every story in Descendants, on every chapter, but there was always going to be a beginning of a brand new chapter with new characters, new storylines, new predictions, and new thoughts. Because that's simply how Descendants began, was with a thought that Mal and Ben could spend the rest of their lives together and go on to become such a revered power couple like Zed and Addison. Because Zed and Addison's love story was a love story that I never wanted to say goodbye to, I never wanted to let go of. Kind of like how many of us never wanted to let go of Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez's love story from the High School Musical trilogy in its original glory days. We've never wanted to say goodbye to these stories because they meant so much to our hearts. And everybody has had a different reason that's made them a fan of Descendants and Zombies. You know, some of you guys are very talented, and I've never ever wanted you to shy away from putting your talents on display. That may have came in the form of drawing your favorite Descendants characters or coloring them, because some of you do some of the most beautiful colorings and beautiful drawings that I've ever seen in my life. You know, when I was in high school, I say this because the only thing I could ever draw was a stick man. I was never very talented with a pencil. I could never draw anything. And it took me hours to even draw that stick man. And then I see you guys who are a lot younger than what I am drawing some of the most beautiful drawings that I've ever seen in my life. And I say, put those talents on display. I encourage you all the time to never quit on yourself or quit on your dreams or what you love putting on display and what you love creating. Because one of the most beautiful joys out of life is creating what you love, inspired by the heroes that you saw in your favorite Descendants of Zombies characters that I love sharing the stories of. Because when I saw Meg Donnelly and Kylie Control crying for the first time ever because they couldn't make sense of their own life dealing with so much pressure, because of how critics and journalists often felt about them, I said something had to be done. I had no idea what had to be done. I just kind of shot from my heart, and I just took a shot at Descendants of Zombies and hoped for the best, to let them know that their contributions would never ever be forgotten. Because there are some people who create these videos who are often very cruel and very dampering on the hopes and dreams of everybody when it comes to these stars. Nobody really wanted to accept the new cast when it came to people who were reviewing it. People were just merely uploading reaction videos that they could never make sense of. People had never watched Descendants of Zombies ever once in their life. And now at least you have a guy who's watched Descendants of Zombies a gajillion times. And when I tell you a gajillion times, perhaps I watched it a gajillion and one time. Because in all honesty, guys, every single time you watch it, you feel like you're watching it for the first time. Descendants really takes you back a number of years, really a decade. Because at the beginning of this decade, when we saw the first promos initially for Descendants, when they were comparing the VKs to the original villains, it was such an iconic promo, and people like Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson had never felt more honored to be donning and taking on these roles. Little did we know Descendants of Zombies would go on to become something so magnificent that it would go on to captivate millions of hearts and steal people's hearts in the process. And people have never wanted to let go, nor have they ever wanted to say goodbye. One of the most difficult things about being a Disney fan is never wanting to let go and having to say goodbye. Because so many people more often than enough have had to say goodbye. Either fans have had to say goodbye to them, or they've had to say goodbye to their roles. And that's always been one of the most difficult things about being a Disney fan. But what always is one of the greatest joys of being a Disney fan, and what comes from being a Disney fan, is holding on to who and what you believe in. And the most amazing thing about this niche is how you guys have held on to people that you've loved and you believed in with all of your heart for pretty much your entire lives, because Descendants of Zombies is all you've ever known. And that right there, just as fast as you can snap your fingers like I just did, should sum up how people feel about Descendants of Zombies and what every critic should think about ever before they push record about recording their thoughts about Descendants of Zombies. Because they know 10,000 people are going to watch that one video. So because 10,000 people are going to watch that one video, the least we can do, because we're the reviewers, is give you something to believe in and to hold on to. Like, my room is full of Bluey merch. There's a huge Bluey sticker on my wall in front of me. You guys can't see him, but I'm looking at him right now. I have him up there because he's a reminder of just how much further kindness can take a person in this lifetime, and how much further kindness Bluey took him in the TV series. You know, Bluey's always held a very special place in the hearts of many fans of him. And the reason why is because he was just so genuinely kind. You know, we often talk about how Meg Donnelly loves characters like SpongeBob SquarePants and Bluey. And what do you think that reason is? It's because these characters are just so genuinely kind and forever sweet, and all they ever want to do is make everybody happy around them, that they surround themselves with. Kind of like how SpongeBob SquarePants was forever resilient. Did you ever notice that the one thing about SpongeBob SquarePants that always stood out was that SpongeBob SquarePants wanted to be friends with Squidward more than anything else in the world? And no matter how much of an annoyance he was to Squidward, man, he really drove Squidward nuts. He would come back every single time just to have another chance, another shot at being friends with Squidward. And when he eventually became friends with Squidward, no matter how annoying that seemed to be, that thought seemed to be in the back of Squidward's mind, it was such a special moment for him. Kind of like how Red didn't want to be friends with anybody at the beginning of the Rise of Red franchise, but she eventually saw something special in Chloe Charming, which was a friend. And they saw something special as actresses off of the camera because they became just as huge of friends in real life. And I saw value in that. And I found time in appreciating just how close they were. And I think if more guys really had an understanding of what Descendants of Zombies has meant to so many wonderful people, I think friendships, relationships would definitely turn out for the better, because you would have an understanding of where that girl is coming from and how Descendants has always made her feel, which is obviously connected to something special and who and what she has believed in, because no matter who they are watching these videos, they have a favorite song. Do you guys remember when we first saw the premiere of the Rotten to the Core music video? Well, Rotten to the Core went on to become one of the most celebrated Descendants songs of all time. It was the premiere single, and it's the song that many people believe made Descendants. But I kind of, presented an argument to that, because there are so many songs that Descendants has seen featured on their soundtracks that have gone on to captivate millions of hearts. Like how at Millennial Dance Complex back in 2024, Ruby and Kylie did this performance of Life is Sweeter When You Are. They did the choreographing. Because Life is Sweeter When You Are was the catchiest bubblegum type song that I've ever heard in my life. And I would be lying to you guys if I said I never listened to Life is Sweeter When You Are, because I did. I listened to it a gajillion times. And there's probably somebody out there saying, hey, Jonathan Clarke, you really love the word gajillion, don't you? I use the word gajillion. You got to cut me some slack. I use the word gajillion because I really want to put a greater emphasis and appreciation on these franchises. And when I tell you that I've listened to the Life is Sweeter When You Are song a gajillion times, I really have. I think it's the most beautiful song that was ever written for Descendants. Like many of you think the song If Only from Dove Cameron was one of the most beautiful ballads you ever heard. And now Kylie Cantrell, something I'm really excited about in Descendants 5, is getting her own ballad. We don't know what the name of it is. We know that she's getting her own ballad, and it's slated to be one of the most powerful ballads that a Descendants character has sung to date. And I'm really excited for Kylie because she has so much happening for her. Her new single, Carrie Bradshaw, is making waves, getting millions of likes, millions of downloads. People are supporting Kylie by the millions. And I really love that about Kylie. I believe I was one of the first 500 comments on that video showing love and support and praise for Kylie, like many people would follow suit. And I really believe that Kylie is really coming of age. It is really a coming of age moment in time for Kylie, and she is so supportive of the Descendants cast, and I really love that about Kylie. Even though in her absence, she is still supportive of the Descendants cast and the role of Princess Red, because she knows that the role of Princess Red is one of the many roles, perhaps the role that made her into the superstar that she is, really a megastar. And when I saw them shooting Carrie Bradshaw a couple of weeks ago, it's only a couple of weeks removed, there were so many people who came out of love and support by the thousands, wanting Kylie's autograph, wanting photos with her, and she took the time to take photos with every individual person there. Maybe not all of them, but pretty close to every individual person. How can you not find time in loving and supporting that? I love that so much about Kylie, how emotionally connected you are to her, and she is likewise in return to all of you. And I think that if I was one of Kylie's best friends, I would definitely encourage her to continue on being friends and supportive of all of you, just as you are of her. I would never try to come between that. It's something I've never wanted to do, and I've never wanted to take away from anybody, and I've just wanted to show love and support for these stars because I know they still have a long way to go. And even though people who review this never admit this to you guys, they still do have a long way to go. And I can find time in supporting them in their journey. Because years ago, my nephew was probably 6 months old. And I remember looking at him and I said, buddy, you still have a long way to go. And now he's almost a rocket scientist 13 years later. So the thing is, if you believe in something, you really have to hold on to it. And you really have to continue on following in your passions and your dreams. Because when you pursue your dreams and they finally become a reality for you, you realization kind of sets in. And you realize, like Cloud said in Final Fantasy VII, Everybody has a light, and everybody does eventually find that light. Like Red found her light, like Dove Cameron found her light as the character Mal. Sophia Carson became a definitive character in Descendants with a performance of Shown Like a Villain that went to the top of the 2017 Billboard chart. There were so many moments that we had the chance to experience and really live through with Descendants of Zombies because it was more than just a movie. It was more than just a theatrical presentation, a choreographing of a song, a rehearsal at boot camp. It brought people closer together, and it made people the best of friends because I saw some of the most beautiful friendships kind of just happen because of Descendants of Zombies, and that's what makes me so excited and feel so honored to have these conversations with countless people who have already found these videos and discovered the power of this YouTube channel, countless people who have yet to discover these videos and discover the power of this YouTube channel, and I welcome you in. If you're somebody who has never watched a Jonathan Clarke video, probably don't even know who I am. All you need to know is I'm the biggest fan of Descendants of Zombies there ever has been. There's probably somebody even bigger than I am out there because there are millions, 10.5 million of you on social media. And I would love for you to be a part of these conversations. There are so many people who won't even go out of their way to buy a Descendants of Zombies poster. I have them, but I have no idea how I'm going to put them up on my wall. If you see that wall behind me, I have about 100 characters on that wall because I'm a fan of Disney nostalgic moments and characters because they've held a special place in my heart for a very long time. I will eventually get the Descendants of Zombies posters incorporated into this backdrop, but I have no idea why. And there's probably somebody out there saying, hey, Jonathan Clarke, if I was there, I would help you. We would take down that wall. We would put up your Descendants of Zombies posters that you paid over $200 for. Don't tell anybody I told you that. But the thing is, I would definitely make this merch more accessible for all of you and definitely more affordable because I know there are so many people out there. If I was a creative writer, mind you, for Descendants of Zombies and an executive producer at Disney, I would make this merch more accessible and more affordable for all of you and give you a chance to experience these franchises in a whole new way, the way they were always meant to be experienced and forever cherished. Because I know there were so many people and so many families and friends who were shut out of the Worlds Collide tour from the first half, who deserved to go, who wanted the chance more than anything else in this world to experience it, wanted that one doll in their collection they've never seemed to be able to get their hands on. We need to make this merch more accessible. And we need to make this a more enjoyable experience, not only for us, but for the people who are bringing these characters to life. I noticed recently one of my recent Zombies videos got almost 1,000 views, and I haven't thanked you guys yet for the over 1,000 views you gave me for my latest Zombies 5 predictions video. So with that having been said, thank you so much. And in that video, I discussed how much I wanted to be the director of Descendants for forthcoming projects and Zombies, and I really meant it. I want you guys to know that I really meant that I do want to have a chance of being a director and an executive writer for both Descendants of Zombies, because I feel the director's chair for Descendants of Zombies has been somewhat revolving. It kind of reminds me of the general manager position in the WWE years ago, when the general manager's position on SmackDown would be a revolving door. So many people were coming in and out, and it never gave you a chance to get used to the storylines and the characters who were a part of the storylines. We couldn't find somebody at the time to be in the permanent position of being the GM. You guys have always deserved someone who's dedicated to these franchises and who understands and loves them and certainly most of all appreciates them just as much as what you have. So I've kind of put myself out there. It was a hit or miss for me for wanting to be the director and the writer of Descendants of Zombies to allow you the chance of experiencing things and seeing things you never have, like Red and Chloe fighting a fire-breathing dragon, being on a pirate ship in the Seven Seas, meeting all these gods and different things we've never seen happen in the Descendants of Zombies franchises, because you do know with fantasy comes endless possibilities. And for anybody who has a greater appreciation for fantasy and supernatural stories and every supernatural character you could ever think of, there are so many characters and events, life-changing events, and turning of the table moments that we have never seen in the Descendants franchise. If you have a company worth $158 billion in revenue and a franchise that consists of $87.8 million for both Descendants of Zombies, the possibilities really become endless. And you can expand off a child's imagination. So if there's a girl out there who believes that all this stuff has yet to happen for Red and Chloe that has not happened as the continuation from the original trilogy, which once was, then we can continue to encourage that something is going to happen. You know, a year and a half ago, I had no idea if Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 is going to happen, but I believed in it just as much as you did. And I encouraged that. I found time in encouraging that. And then people started supporting my dream of being president of the United States, to finally give Kylie control of president she could be proud of, because her political point of view had somewhat been taken out of context for being a Donald Trump supporter, which she never was. And then there was an interesting conversation over 20 years ago about what would ever happen if Jonathan Clarke became president of the United States. I felt that sounded kind of crazy, but 20 years ago, that thought was always in my mind. And then I heard Kylie Control talking about her political point of view. And then what I did with that was I shared the story with how people believed that I had a chance of being president of the United States. And I thought, how cool would that be to be president and give Kylie control of president that she could finally be proud of. I've often thrown my name into the conversation of being president of Disney to give bigger budgets to Descendants of Zombies, to give theatrical presentations. Because if you can have conversations about Hocus Pocus 3 going to theaters for the first time, so too you can have those same conversations about Descendants of Zombies, because they deserve those opportunities. These stars have felt never more stronger than they do right now. They are stronger than ever before. And there are so many people out there who do feel the same way. They are becoming stronger all the time, feeling more passionate than ever before about Descendants of Zombies. One of the things that I always admired about the Descendants of Zombies cast of the new generation is how they always put on display how proud they are to be in shape and to be strong and to be confident, to feel empowered. So much so they inspired me to start lifting weights. I just bought a brand new home gym and I'm lifting weights every day now because of them. And because of all of you, because you made me a stronger person. You gave me so much incentive to continue on following my own passions, which is something I've often encouraged all of you. You know, I'm getting stronger all the time. And the thing is, what it comes down to is how much you believe in yourself to achieve all of your dreams. That could be being a singer. That could be being an actress in your own way. That could be being a part of the Descendants of Zombies franchises. However you feel stronger about your dreams, then you should continue on feeling that, because there are so many things yet to happen. There may have been so many things that we've already seen happen for Descendants of Zombies, but there is still so much we have yet to experience. We have so much wonderful music like Dancing with the Enemy and Perfect Princess and all these new wonderful characters that are still relatively new within this franchise, but we still have a long way to go because we've never heard these stories from these characters ever before. So because we've never heard these stories from these characters ever before, like Red and Pink and all these characters like Keanu Romero's character Hazel Hook, we have so much to be excited about. And really so much to encourage far more people to come along on this journey because of. You know, these are conversations that I've always held a very special place in my heart, from my love of Disney, which eventually became a love for Descendants of Zombies. And one of the most enjoyable experiences, and by far one of the most rewarding, was having a chance of being a part of both your worlds and your stories. Thank you so much for having chosen this YouTube channel as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel. We may never know when Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 are coming. We're looking at release windows that are suggesting for Descendants 5 anywhere between July 12th through the 19th, and Zombies 5 is going to be happening sometime between now and the summer of 2027. We will have more on that when more info drops and becomes available, but I would love, a year and a half ago, I promised you guys that I would always be here to have these conversations with you. And there will be one video uploaded every day about Descendants of Zombies. And so many people would choose this YouTube channel as their favorite, which made it the greatest honor of my life and the most fun that I've ever had, because I never imagined in my wildest hopes and dreams that this YouTube channel would have become everybody's favorite. But 4,000 people thought differently. 4,000 people saw something special, genuine, and kind about someone's hopes for the future about Descendants of Zombies. You saw that in me, and you chose me as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, and it became the most fun and the greatest honor and one of the greatest joys by far that I've ever had the chance to experience in my 25-year career. Thank you so much for all the love and support that you've shown this YouTube channel. Keep on subscribing, keep on liking videos, and keep on just always being you. Keep on showing up here and always being you and feeling stronger than ever before, because we are stronger together when it comes to Descendants of Zombies. And honestly, guys, without any views, without any subscribers, without any people watching the video showing so much endless love and support, a content creator can never make a name for themselves in this industry. But I've always wanted the best for you guys when it came to these reviews, and I always wanted to simply give you the best. And every single time that I ever showed up here, I always wanted you to take away hopes and a thought for Descendants of Zombies. Thank you so much for spending this past Victoria Day weekend of 2026 with me. It was a great one, and I had the time of my life talking about Descendants of Zombies with all of you and sharing in this by far incredible weekend with all of you. We have an incredible summer to look ahead to. Descendants 5, the premiere of the Leg 2 of the Worlds Collide Tour, now featuring Camp Rock and all these wonderful characters. I'm so excited to meet Liamani Segura and all these wonderful characters joining her to make up this brand new cast of Descendants 5 Go Wonderland. It will happen between July 12th through the 19th. Keep watching for more promos and more news on Disney Plus, and keep it locked right here on this YouTube channel for the latest and the greatest updates. Thank you so much for always and forever holding a very special place in your heart for this channel and all these wonderful videos. And as always, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for always showing up, being yourself, and for always having watched these videos.